Street racing games are really a dime a dozen. It's such an overcrowded genre of racing, and occasionally, every now and then, I will actually find a hidden gem amongst the crowd. Now, is today's game gonna be one of those? Oh, no, it's from Team 6.
I don't think I have any words that can possibly convey the disappointment of having to play a Team 6 game.
Welcome to the Worst Racing Games, the internet series where you guys suggest different racing games that you think are terrible, then I play them, review them, and rank them. So last week we had Cartoon Network Racing for the Nintendo DS, which was actually a surprisingly alright kart racer. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it was playable. And this week we've actually got a PC exclusive racing game, and this is European Street Racing, or ESR for short. I was trying to think of words to place in ESR, but all I came up with was extremely stupidly rubbish, so that's what we're going to call this game. Anyway, as always, before we jump into the actual gameplay, let's just talk a little bit about the history of this game. So this was released in 2007 exclusively for Windows PCs, and yes, of course, this game was developed by Team6 Studios. Oh boy, aren't we lucky. These are the same people that brought us such gems as Flat Out 3, Super Street the Game, and Taxi Chaos, and that's just to name a couple. There have been so many more. Now, back in 2024, Team6 Game Studios actually went bankrupt, and honestly, I thought that was going to be the end of the story. But then, last year, I saw Taxi Chaos 2 appeared from a different studio called Focus Point, and I'm pretty sure it's just most of the same devs under a new name. So, like any good cockroach, it survives. Alright, so let's read a description of the game so we can see what we're getting ourselves into. So, European Street Racing is a racing game featuring 7 European cities: Moscow, London, Paris, Madrid, Hamburg, Berlin, and Warsaw. The game features 17 different cars without any official license but resembling real cars. Oh, this should be good. Each one has a prize which has to be earned by winning races, of course. The career mode offers 35 races in 3 different types: City Race, Street Race, and Challenge. City Race is a standard racing mode with a predetermined circuit. In Street Race, the competitors have to find their way to a single checkpoint and return as quickly as possible, which fucking sucked, by the way. Challenge is either 2, but features a tougher competitor to beat. Well, I mean, it sounds alright, doesn't it? So let's just jump in. Okay, so first of all, you'll notice that everything is in Polish, and that's because stupid me couldn't get an English version to actually work. So yeah, we've got a Polish version of the game, and I'm sure you've probably guessed, but Polish is not a language that I actually speak. So on the menus, I had Google Translate on my phone up, with the camera mode so I could translate things I needed to, but anything that popped up during a race, I kind of just had to guess or just ignore, because I couldn't really drive and have my phone out at the same time, because, you know, that's illegal. And also, I can't multitask. So the menu design is incredibly boring. You've got some pictures of the cities in the background, and then you've literally just got some white greyish buttons that say career, options, so on and so forth. There's no effort put in here whatsoever. I guess it's kind of sleek, might be an argument that you could make, but overall, the font looks rubbish and it just looks super cheap. So yeah, basically this game just has career mode. That's the main thing, that's basically all I've played, so what do you actually do? So you boot up into career mode, and you get a choice of a few different cars, and about 35,000 of a currency of some kind, and you get a few different cars to choose from, and I went with the car that was the legally distinct Volkswagen Golf. So once you have your car, you've got a couple of different upgrade options, some very minimal tuning, and then nitrous as well. So you can upgrade your engine, you can upgrade your gearbox, and you can haul up to 200% nitrous, which is incredibly exciting. The car in this game that is the Golf is actually just called the Spicer GT, which, honestly, is actually not a bad name. You get into a race, You use the arrow keys to accelerate, brake, and turn the car, and you use control to activate your nitrous. And honestly, I don't think there's any other controls than that, except hitting escape to pause the game. That's literally all the controls there are. I couldn't figure out how to look behind me, if that was possible, but it didn't really matter anyway. So if you've been unfortunate enough to play any Team 6 developed racing game in your life before, you will probably know how this game handles already, and the answer is not particularly well. It's not awful, I don't think it's the worst handling I've seen in a Team 6 game, but it's definitely got the Team 6 isms of sliding around, the camera not quite keeping up with the car, and not to mention the incredibly low IQ NPC drivers. This is one of those racing games where, for the most part, even when you progress into the faster cars in the late game, you don't really need to brake that hard or brake all too often. You can kind of just very harshly turn into every corner, turn it into a bit of a slide that slows the car down, and just keep carrying that momentum through. There's never really any need to use the brake except on the very, very tightest little corners. But of course the NPC drivers will need to brake, which makes this game incredibly easy because you fly off in front of them almost every race without any challenge, except getting off the line where sometimes they turn into you in a very frustrating, stupid moment.
That is something that genuinely winds me up about racing games, especially these budget racing games, is when developers can't even be bothered to code at the start of the races so that NPCs don't just crash into you. Can you imagine an F1 race starting, and at the back, as you're about to launch, both drivers just turn into you? That's a stupid analogy because they're in rows of two, but you get the idea. Just imagine just being turned straight into, like an F1 open lobby, but in real life. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Another feature of this game that I found to be kind of irritating is the fact that you can get speeding fines. Look, I know it's a street racing game, but imagine in Need for Speed or even hell, Forza Horizon, you got fines and credits for speeding. How stupid. So yeah, each time you get caught speeding or caught by a camera, it's €250, which really isn't much in the grand scheme of things, especially considering how much you earn per race, but it just seems such an unnecessary addition. Like, I get you're kind of going for realism, but maybe you should have focused on your physics or visuals or literally anything else before adding in speeding fines. So the standard checkpoint races, as mentioned earlier, are completely fine, they work, they're kind of fun when you can just blast through traffic and you enter this flow state. And I guess that's the argument you can make with any racing game. When you enter that flow state, it can be quite fun. But it doesn't change the fact that the physics aren't great and, you know, it's not the best looking game in the world. But there's another type of mode which I believe it's kind of like a drag race, kind of, at least that's what it translates to from Polish to English, where you blast down to a checkpoint and immediately have to turn around and come straight back. Some of them are really awkwardly placed. There's sometimes really frustrating traffic or a really unobvious route that you need to take to get back, and I just don't like the design of these levels. They really take you out of the pacing of the game. Now, in terms of visuals, this is not a particularly good looking game. The car models themselves, they're okay. Some of them look alright and some of them look incredibly oversaturated. The maps themselves are also just alright. London I thought looked pretty good, but some of the other cities like Paris and Madrid were really oversaturated and unnecessarily bright, and no amount of gamma correction or whatever could fix that for my visuals in the game. I'm not sure what it is with Team 6 developed games, but they just have this kind of yellow filter to them, and they always look super, super boring and dull. Comparing this side by side with Flatout 3, you can just tell that there's barely any effort made from game to game. And speaking of no effort made from game to game, the soundtrack in this game is also incredibly generic. It's got a couple of electronic tracks that just switch and then loop on repeat. So you're probably best just turning the sound off and listening to your own music, or just listening to the sound of the cars. Okay, so let's just go a bit deeper into some of the legally distinct, totally not real-life cars that you can get in this game. So, for example, we have the Razor XT, which is just an Audi TT. We have the Ruby ST, which is literally just a Vauxhall Astra. the Matone DT, which is an Audi A4, the Matone C4, which is an Audi R8. There's a lot of Audis in this game, guys. And my personal favourite, the Guarana, which is quite literally the developer saying, look at us, we're a street racing game, here's the Need for Speed BMW M3 that's not quite the same. Honestly, guys, you could have tried a little bit better to make it at least somewhat different. Now, in terms of critical response, it was very hard to find any kind of reviews for this game because this is a very niche, late 2000s PC-exclusive racing game. According to Moby Games, who have managed to find 2 different reviews, it hasn't scored that great. One outlet gave it a 53% out of 100, and Honest Gamers apparently gave it a 70%, which puts it at an average of 62. I mean, it's actually not that bad, but the player score is 2.4 out of 5, so make of that what you will. I think the biggest compliment that I can give ESR is that this isn't the worst game that I've played that's been developed by Team6 Game Studios. And I use that very loosely because this still isn't a great game, but it is a lot better than Flat Out 3.
Okay, so before we go any further, I just want to address the elephant in the room. Me, obviously. For those of you who have not watched my streams, or the occasional other things I do with myself in, I am Kledge. I now officially have a space where I can make videos and work. Yeah, it's not the neatest or tidiest yet, but I'm working on it. But now it means that I can actually do some nice in-person camera segments in the videos, which is something I've wanted to do for ages, so I just wanted to say hello. This will be occasionally interjected into videos and reviews that I'm working on, just because I think it's cool. I enjoy it. It's a new kind of format for me to be able to take on and work with. So if you've made it this far into the video, say hello. Hi, Kledge, in the comments down below. Anyway, let's rank the game.
So last week we put Cartoon Network Racing into the actually not that bad category. You know, quite a rare case, to be honest. But where, oh where, will European Street Racing end up? Looking at the tier list, the only other 2 Team 6 games we've covered have either gone in hot garbage or pure evil, so I think for a first for a Team 6 game, this is just going to go in rubbish. There are parts of it that function, the races do actually work, the physics are okay for the most part. It's just a really dull looking, dull playing, boring street racing game that is somehow not the worst thing that Team 6 has ever developed. So yeah, European Street Racing, rubbish category. There are literally 100 better street racing games that if you have such a desire to street race, you can just play those. There is no reason to play this game outside of morbid curiosity or a deep dive into Team 6's very troubled back catalogue. And so that brings us to the end of our look at European Street Racing, and with it, this week's episode of Worst Racing Games. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of this game? Have you played it? Are you going to go and play it now? Share all your thoughts down below, and as always, if you have a suggestion you want to see on the wheel, put that down there as well. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe and tap that bell for notifications to stay up to date with my future uploads. A massive shout out to my Patreon subscribers for the continued support, and all I really have left to say is thank you and goodbye.